the political dynamics are so fascinating right now.
They are fascinating. If you like popcorn, I recommend
Right.
buying in bulk.
So welcome to this edition of the Greater Pensacola Chamber Toddcast. I'm Todd Thomson, President and CEO of the Greater Pensacola Chamber. And very excited today to have Sara Lefevers. She's with Baptist Healthcare. And we're really going to delve into what's happening in session this year. This year, we are really digging into advocacy and action, key issues that are going to be impacting our community, and really excited to have Sara here today. So first, Sara, tell us about your role at Baptist Healthcare and what you do to get into the advocacy efforts.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's good to be back in the chamber house today and doing this with you. But yes, so my role is Manager of Community Impact and Government Relations for Baptist Healthcare. As you know, it's a locally owned, locally governed, not-for-profit healthcare system here. It's the only one here in the community. And we have our 3 hospitals, 4 medical parks, Andrews Institute, and so much more that we do in the community. And part of my role is managing and tracking what's going on in Tallahassee during session. And so I have a lot of fun with it. I very much enjoy that aspect of my role. And it is quite a year, which we kind of expected it would be.
Right.
Last year was a fun ride as well, but this being an election year, obviously there are more dynamics that come into play, and so we're just trying to navigate that, but also, look at what's going on from a budget perspective. Of course, healthcare is our primary focus, and so looking at our priorities and what we support and oppose, but then also what dollars can be brought back to Northwest Florida. So lots of things happening. As you know, Todd, there's been political dynamics that have changed in the state over the course of the last 2 to 4 years. Just politically, there's now 1.5 million more Republicans than there are Democrats. So Florida's not really a purple state anymore. It's very much a red state. And so that's kind of the dynamics there. We have a supermajority in Tallahassee as well. We know that there are political dynamics between the governor and the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, as were last session. And so just trying to navigate that, and each have their own priorities. And so we saw a little bit how that came to play last session. Not quite sure how everything's going to go this session. We're finishing up the 3rd week now and moving into the 4th week. But we were out of a Senate president this last week because he had some health concerns that he had to tend to, and thankfully he was got out of the hospital and is doing well and going to be right back at it. And so that's great. But it's just a lot of dynamics that you just having to kind of sit back and navigate, but also try to make sure that our priorities are being heard, and that Northwest Florida is being represented, which our delegation members are doing a fantastic job at that. And so we're very thankful to have those in office that we do representing us and our priorities. And so, that's kind of what we're working on. Working with.
So, because it's interesting because you have a strong Republican governor, and you have supermajorities in the House and the Senate that are Republican. But over the last few years, as you mentioned, the dynamics have kind of changed, where it used to be
red crime.
That's a great way to put it. It used to be everybody was singing Kumbaya, and now it's there's a lot of tension, a lot of concerns that things aren't moving as smoothly as we'd like to see. But I know you're over there. You got your eyes on things, what are some of the key things that you're seeing? Like you said, we're about a third of the way through session, so things are starting to move a little bit.
They are.
What are some of the key issues that you're seeing?
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing that we're always have our eyes on is the budget, and the speaker has been very outspoken about wanting to cut the budget by about $5 billion from last year. And so when the legislature looks at cutting the budget, it's our experience that the 2 facets that they kind of look at first are the biggest parts of the budget, which are education and healthcare. And so healthcare is about 40% of the budget, but only about 7% of actual general revenue, because
Right.
we have so many of those dollars that come down from the federal level. And so we're out there trying to advocate for the fact that we need the money that we
Right.
have in the budget, and actually quite a bit more. But budget is our biggest concern, and just looking at there's potential cuts coming to Medicaid and other programs that are in place to kind of help offset the costs that hospitals consume in the free care that we provide to so many individuals. And so we're looking at that, keeping our eye on there. We believe that the budget's going to be released any moment, and so we're just kind of waiting on that. But yeah, so the budget's the biggest thing. There are three main issues that are kind of being at the forefront of the priorities overall in session, which are property taxes, which is no surprise to anybody listening to this, anybody in the business community. Property taxes is the biggest thing. Then we've got redistricting, which we've already been made aware of the special session that's been scheduled for that. And then AI, of course, is always a big concern. Even in healthcare, AI is something we're looking at when it comes to approval and denials of the health plans and and so forth. And so, that's a big one as well. And of course, property taxes probably of the most concern to your members.
Right. So we took a position at our legislative luncheon. Our board said that we're just going to monitor the different proposals, and I know there are a number of them. But if you're going to cut property taxes, don't shift that burden to the business community, because that money's going to have to come from somewhere to support some of the services that I think you're going to talk about. But any update that you have heard from keeping an eye on things in Tallahassee?
Yeah. Well, and I will say too, one thing we didn't get into yet, but typically we see about 3,000 bills filed every session. There's only been about 1,798 bills filed this session, so a lot less bills have been filed. And I think, it being an election year and knowing we're going to special session, it's not surprising. About 55 bills have been placed on special calendar, and so we're not seeing things moving super quickly. So there are also a lot of proposals on how to get this accomplished.
Right.
So when you look at what legislation has been proposed for property tax elimination, reform, protection, there are several different bills that we're tracking on that. And I think that a lot of people have a lot of really great ideas on how to get it done or get something done and move forward. The governor, his proposal is to cut $100,000 from the homestead exemption a year, and so by I think 2037, property taxes would be eliminated. I think it's a proposal. The speaker, he's just kind of said, okay, great, but how? Where do we make up that money that goes to our law enforcement officers and funding our fire department and other local services that we rely on? How are we going to make that up? Mm-hmm. And then, so there's so many perspectives on it, how it's going to get done, if it's going to get done. Some saying it won't get done. So we're just trying to just sit back and watch and keep a close eye on it. But, hopeful that something will be, that everybody will come together on something that works well for our state and for our local communities.
Right. And so, just so people know, if they do pass something, it's still going to come to the voters.
It will, yes. Referendum on the ballot, and 60% of the voters will have to pass it on election day for it to become law.
Yeah. So, got a long way to go.
Yes.
Like you said, there are a number of proposals out there that are moving, but just the political dynamics are so fascinating right now.
They are fascinating. If you like popcorn, I recommend buying in bulk. But yeah, so.
Yeah. So, you mentioned our delegation earlier. You're in contact with them all the time about issues either related to Baptist or our community. Talk about how you interact with them and how they, are great to work with.
Absolutely. Well, yes. First of all, they are fantastic. We have a great delegation. You know that. Representative Andrade, this is his last term. last year in session, and he has served us very well the last 8 years, so we're very grateful to him. We've got Salzman, Representative Salzman, who is just a hard worker and a strong advocate for our community, and she's doing amazing things for us. Senator Gates, of course, very well respected over in Tallahassee. We now have Representative Boyles, who is new but just kind of diving in and jumping all in and getting a lot of great things going as well. So and then we've got Representative Abbott and Maney and others that are in our proximity that we work with as well. And they're just very thankful for the group that we have representing Northwest Florida. Specifically, we try to work at Baptist with our delegation members year round. When legislators are in session, you don't want to bog them down necessarily. We always stop by and visit, say hello, thank them for their work and what they're doing. But we oftentimes communicate with them about our needs throughout the year. We've had them come and tour our new facility, and we try to keep them apprised and just continue those relationships more beyond just when we have an ask. Mm-hmm. And so we're very thankful that we've got great relationships with each of them. We just have been over there recently and met with Representative Abbott and others, and our goal there is to be quick and get in and get out, thank them for their work, but then support them however we can, whether that's providing expert subject matter opinions about certain healthcare legislation that's coming down. There's a lot of bills out there about payer accountability and managed care plans, and so we've got some of our leaders that are very well adversed in that and some of the concerns we have, and so we're able to provide that feedback to our legislators so that they can use that whether in committee or in other meetings and helping shape legislation for how it can be impactful for our area. So we try to be involved in that. I know the Chamber's been great about getting business members involved in advocacy and building those relationships, and it's very important no matter what your ask is, no matter what your priorities are, making sure that you have those relationships is the most important. Sure.
And our delegation is incredibly accessible there.
Oh, yes. More so than most places.
Right. So we also recently had our Leadership Pensacola class go over, and we had Representative Andrade came one evening and spoke to us, gave his perspective on what's going on. And then the next day, Representative Salzman came and kind of gave her update as well. Gave us a lot of time. It wasn't just like a buzz in, hey, how you doing? Good to see you, and out. They stayed and really got into what they're working on and the issues. So it's great that we have legislators that are responsive and easy to talk to. So
yes, even though they're very busy and in roles of leadership, never had them not take time.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So also some of the dynamics that are happening. I know that especially in the House, there are a lot of new faces.
There are.
And what is that like in terms of how it impacts session?
Yes. So I wrote down here there are 37 members that have had less than 2 years of experience in the legislature. So they're in their first term. In addition to that, we have 23 that are terming out. Representative Andrade being one of them. And so there is just a lot of nuances to the legislature right now, a lot of opportunity for the chamber and for business members to really go and educate on their issues, these new members that are coming in, and have a voice for their issues. That definitely adds so much to the dynamics. Thankfully, Florida is one of those states that has implemented term limits, and so this is a part of the process. It's something that we experience every few years, but it allows a lot of growth opportunities and a lot of opportunities to educate. And so I hope that, I know the chamber will, and I hope members will take up their priorities and get over there, educate, meet with our delegation members when they're here, and share more about your issues.
Yeah. So, and that's really the key is that communication. Yes. Your legislators want to hear from you. You may think that they're
it's helpful for them.
Right. Yeah. And you may think that they're these people that want to be insulated or they have their own priorities, but they really do want to know what's going on in the community and how they can help with what impact they have in Tallahassee.
Absolutely.
So as things kind of progress along, we talked about property tax reform a little and the budget and all of it. So talk about how that timing works out, because, we're about a third of the way through session, but how do these issues, especially the big ones like these, typically kind of work their way through the process?
Absolutely. Well, you've got the filing deadline, which occurs, took place a few weeks ago. So it's so funny because on the Friday of the filing deadline, we'll have like all of our priority bills mapped out. We know what we're tracking, and then like 500 bills will hit.
Right.
Okay, here we go again.
You get drowned.
Yes.
Yeah.
And organizations like Baptist, we have our Hospital Association, Ascension Sacred Heart as well, and they do a great job at helping us sift through that and figure out what we should be tracking and what our priorities are and all of that. So that's super helpful. But yeah, so we've got the filing deadline. Typically within the first few weeks, if you see bills move, they've got pretty good opportunity to make it, to the floor. At this stage where we're at today, if a bill hasn't moved through its first committee, it probably won't. I think I can say that with confidence. But there's always last minute things that change, and a bill could reappear and resurface. And you get sometimes now, as bills move through committee, some bills will be temporarily postponed because they want to see some changes in it, or they've got another version of that bill that they feel like is a better version that they want to advance. And so we're making our way through committees right now. A lot of bills are starting to get to their second, third, usually third's the last committee, and then we'll head to the floor of either the House or the Senate, the bill or the chamber in which it originated. Once it passes there, it will go to the next chamber. Again, most bills have a Senate and a House sponsor, so there's probably a Senate bill, if there is an identical bill, that says very similar things to the House bill. But the House bill will need to be either supported by the Senate. We'll just assume that the bill that I'm talking about originated in the House.
Right.
Supported by the Senate, or the Senate bill will advance. And so let's say this bill is supported by the Senate, they vote it through, then it goes to the governor's desk. He has so much time that he has before he has to sign it or veto it, or it just becomes a law. And then each of these bills will have, some bills are put into law as soon as they are signed and enacted. Other bills will have a July 1st date because that's the first day of our fiscal years for the state, or an October 1st date, or maybe January, just depending on what the legislation is. A lot of times, some bills with healthcare, it needs to go through, the agency needs to kind of dive in a little bit on how things are going to be enacted, and so that takes a little bit of time. So typically they'll have a further out date for when it becomes law. But yeah, that's kind of the process that we're looking at right now. Again, things like property taxes, there's Medicaid, and what we're going to do with Medicaid moving forward, whether we're going to put in work requirements and community engagement requirements, what ACA's role is with Medicaid administration moving forward. There are several bills out there right now that talk about, again, different perspectives on how that should be accomplished. So we're starting to see which of those multiple bills for that one thing are going to surface through, if any. And so, again, a lot of the political dynamics that we're experiencing too between the House, the Senate, and the governor's office are going to start coming out as play as things start becoming more of a negotiation tactic or leverage, so we'll be keeping a close eye on all of that.
Yeah, so a long way to go for a lot of big issues.
Yeah. It's a long 60 days.
Right.
It's a long 60 days.
Right, and you mentioned, congressional redistricting will have a special session in April. And there's always the chance there could be other special sessions.
Yes, and it is an election year, so this is the last thing that our delegation members are going to want. They want to get out there and campaign. They want to get out there and support other campaigns. But it is just kind of different this year.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Right. So as we get close to wrapping up, talk a little bit about the Chamber's advocacy efforts. You've been on kind of
I'm a veteran.
You've been very instrumental in how we've developed this over the year. And thank you for that. I mean, you've been a great.
This used to be my home. So
right.
I'm biased.
Right. But no, you've brought so many great ideas, how we can do things better. But talk about what the Chamber's role and how we help support the business community.
Absolutely. And when you'll see just kind of nationwide and statewide, the Florida Chamber of Commerce, they have such a strong advocacy presence. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, such a strong advocacy presence. And, back in the day when I was here working alongside of you, I know that was something you wanted to bring here to Pensacola and our chamber and try to get the business community to be back what I think one day it was. So many more years before that, you know, and I always really appreciated that because I think that the business community has such a vital role. First of all, you have so many people that are employed by the businesses that are members, that these businesses feel responsibility not only to their business being successful and having a great climate to do business in, but also for their employees and making sure it's a great quality of life place to live and to raise a family and to have fun and enjoy the natural resources we have here. So the Chamber of Commerce and the businesses that are members of the Chamber have such a powerful voice because they represent so much within our community. And so it's just a matter of being one band, one sound. And I know that's hard because you have so many businesses that are a part of one industry and you have competing businesses that are members of the Chamber. And so what I love about what the Chamber has done is changing the policy committee to an advocacy committee. And you have different healthcare organizations. You have different businesses within the same industries on that committee. You have so many people that come to the table and say, okay, how does this one thing, whether local, city, county, state, federally, affect our community and the businesses and how we're able to operate and live and enjoy what we have here in Pensacola and protect it? What is our role? And then that committee is able to take that recommendation to the board, and then the board, being very powerful, well-integrated members of our community, are able to use their voices and the voices of their organizations that they represent to amplify that message. And then on top of that, we have you and your role, Todd, being able to go to city, go to county, go to the state in Tallahassee and elsewhere to then be able to carry that even further. It's a model that works. And what I love about the advocacy committee too is that it also encourages these businesses that are part to make aware the other businesses in their circles of what's going on and how they can advocate and sharing resources, whether it's a one-pager or a white page or a one-pager about a specific topic, sharing that to the masses, sharing, hey, this is going to be on this agenda at city council or county commission, go speak in support or opposition to it. Hey, this bill is being proposed at the state level. This is why this would be catastrophic to our business community, or this is why this would be a huge benefit to our community, and being able to then articulate the same message.
Right.
And so I think that's where the power lies, and I think the Chamber is getting really good at being able to do that. The work never stops.
Right, yeah, it's always.
Just when you feel like you've advocated successfully for one thing, then there's other things that pop up. And so I think with each thing that the Chamber's voice has gotten stronger. And so that's been really cool to watch.
Yeah, just a couple of examples recently. So we sent a letter to the Trump administration about the potential oil drilling in the Gulf of America. Currently not allowed in the Florida waters, but that's something that's being considered. So we sent a very strong letter saying, we don't want to see that. We know the potential impacts. We've seen it in real time here. And then we also sent a letter to Department of War. There's the potential for a Coast Guard training facility at NAS Pensacola, so we sent that as well to say, hey, we think this would be great. It'd be great for the base. It'd be great for our economy. So we're stepping it up, and some more to
doing
come.
More with the military aspect, correct?
Right.
Like,
Yes.
Talk
Yes.
a little bit about, because I've been kind of out of the loop on that. What
Right.
all are we doing with being a better voice for our military community?
Yeah, it's really staying in communication with the base and understanding their priorities and working with business leaders to go to Washington and advocate and say, look, we've got a Blue Angels hangar that is in very rough shape, and if it takes another hit, that could be the end of that. So, we go up to Washington 3 or 4 times a year to meet with not just our local Florida officials, but also meet with folks from all over the country who are on those key military construction committees
for sure.
to talk about, hey, we need help on these issues, and we've gotten some great responses. And the frustrating thing is that things, and this, move very slowly in Washington.
Oh, yes.
Tallahassee,
Yes.
you have a very condensed meeting schedule, a 60-day session, and things, tend to move a little bit faster. So, we've been working on this for a few years, but we'll continue to do that. Anything we can do to support our military, it's a huge part of our economy, and we're going to continue to do that.
Absolutely, as we should.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, anything in closing you want to share? Really appreciate the time and the update.
Of course. No, I just thank you for the opportunity. And if I could just make a plea to the chamber members that might be watching this, just be involved, whether it's city council, county commission, state issues, federal issues. I think sometimes it can be overwhelming thinking about how do I get involved. I know that the majority of your members have something that they worry about every day, something that, is threatening to the work that they do or the climate that they work in. And so bring those things to the chamber, but also, reach out to Todd, reach out to the team here, figure out ways to get involved. There are so many ways that we can rally around each other and be involved in the process, learn more about the process. If you go to the Florida legislature website or the Senate website, there are so many resources that they have on those websites of how to understand the process. I was just watching Schoolhouse Rock with my 8-year-old.
Right.
I always recommend going back to just the basics.
There you go.
Those songs will get stuck in your head, and then
Right.
you'll be like, okay, yeah, this is how this works.
Right.
But yeah, be involved in the process. Reach out, ask the chamber how you can do that, know what's going on, and just be a voice for your community. Even if you don't have an issue that you think you're concerned about right now, or that you think is a problem for your business or your organization, how can you support your community? What are the issues that the community is facing right now? We're looking at, at the federal level with the ACA benefits going away December 31st. There are millions of people now without healthcare benefits, and so how do we as a community support them until something is resolved, which there are 3 proposals at the federal level, and we don't know really which one's going to make it through, kind of like with these other issues. And so that's an ongoing battle that we're obviously keeping a very close eye on as well. But that trickles all the way down to the local community. How does the local community support those people in the interim until there's a solution?
Right.
And that's where the chamber, that's where the local community can come and play.
Absolutely. So lots of opportunities for advocacy.
Yes.
Yeah, we do want to hear from you as the business community. How can we help? We are here to be your voice. So again, Sara Lefevers with Baptist Healthcare, thank you so much for being on the Toddcast.
It was an honor. I do want a coffee mug though next time.
Okay. Yeah, we're working on those.
Okay.
But
Branded,
absolutely.
of course.
Yes, absolutely. So again, Sara, thank you for what you do for our community. Thank you for your support of the chamber, and we'll see you next time on the Toddcast.